Baroness McIntosh of Pickering.
I beg leave to ask the question standing in my name on the order paper and declare my interest as President of National Energy Action.
Minister Lord Carolan.
My Lords, the largest element of gas and electricity bills, which is wholesale costs, has increased significantly. The Government is committed to protecting customers, especially the most vulnerable. Households will continue to be protected throughout the winter by the price cap and through the warm home discount, the winter fuel payment and the cold weather payment schemes. And a new £500 million household support fund has also been made available to councils to help the most in need over the winter.
Baroness McIntosh of Pickering.
Given the record rise in wholesale gas prices and the fact that many fuels, such as heating oil, coal and LPG, on which many rural dwellers depend, are not covered by the price cap, will the Government immediately lift the green levies on household bills, which account for 25% of the total, but ensure that energy companies pay for the green infrastructure themselves from which they will ultimately profit, while targeting all available financial resources on those on the lowest incomes with the least efficient homes, to ensure that a further 1.5 million are not forced into fuel poverty?
Well, of course, the heating oil and LPG that the Noble Lady referred to are, of course, not covered by any of the levies that you refers to. That is, they are separately controlled. It's a free market in those, and they haven't gone up nearly as much as gas prices have. But like in every other utility, the energy companies pass through the cost of investment in the sector's networks to end consumers, as well as the cost of additional energy infrastructure investment, environmental and social policies.
Lord Darlan of Kensington.
I declare my interest as Chairman of Balfour Beatty and the other interests in my register. When back in July I raised the issue of the high energy costs affecting the competitiveness of our steel industry, the Noble Lord appeared to agree. Yet, since then, the Government has offered no support when the energy costs have gone through the roof. This will impact on jobs and people's lives throughout the country. As Gareth Stance put it well in the newspapers the other day, the energy crisis of today will be the steel industry crisis of tomorrow. What assistance is the Government currently giving to the steel and other sectors that are highly dependent on energy consumption? And more importantly, what are they planning to do, not next year or next month? What are they doing in the coming weeks to address this crisis?
Well, of course, many of these energy-intensive industries are already freed from the cost of the emissions trading scheme by being issued with free permits. But beyond that, the Noble Lord makes a good point. My honourable colleague, the Secretary of State, is in urgent discussions regularly with all of these industries, and of course we are urgently seeking a solution across government as to how we can do something to help.
Lord Oates.
The Minister will be aware of the bitter irony at this time of energy crisis that somewhere in the region of £1 billion was spent in the last 12 months in paying wind generators not to generate energy. What we need is a proper energy policy that would actually build storage. And will the Government please tell us when they will come forward with storage solutions that means that energy is generated and is directed to green hydrogen, to battery storage, to compressed air or other forms of storage?
Well, of course, we do have a comprehensive energy policy. Many of those technologies that the Noble Lord refers to are difficult and expensive, but we are funding research into a lot of them. The problem with electricity, of course, is that the Noble Lord will be aware, is that it's very difficult and expensive to store at large scale.
Of Guildford.
It's obvious, and in the very short term, with soaring international gas prices, what can be done is understandably limited. And rescue support to heavy energy users will obviously help if it comes quickly. But should we not also consider temporarily suspending some of the heavy green surcharges, carbon penalties, and the latest rather poor idea of taxing gas even further? And, my Lords, for the medium term, have the real lessons been learnt? Namely, that for an orderly and sustainable energy transition, we need more gas and electricity storage for backup and swing supplies. We need a rapid sort-out of our faltering nuclear replacement programme. We need some coal-fired stations in reserve and low rather than high home fuel prices to ease widespread hardship and prevent backlash.
We are taking a range of important steps to decarbonise the electricity system and to provide more homegrown electricity generation as our supplies from the North Sea dwindle. But the problem with the argument of the Noble Lord is that providing more storage doesn't alleviate the high prices. Many European countries have much greater levels of gas storage, but their prices are actually even higher than they are in the UK.
Lord Walney.
My Lords, will the Government redouble its efforts to persuade our European partners to resist the siren voices from the Kremlin over Nord Stream 2, in the knowledge that President Putin's regime will only try to exacerbate this cost of living crisis and not bring benefit to our or European citizens?
I think the Noble Lord makes an extremely good point, and we remain very concerned about the impact that Nord Stream 2 will have on European energy security and particularly on the interests of Ukraine. We will continue to raise our significant concerns about the project and to defend the interests of Ukraine and support future arrangements that give a significant transit role to them.
Lord Manchester.
My Lords, Labour will make Brexit work. Can the Noble Lord the Minister confirm he believes the measures of support are sufficient this winter to help those in fuel-poor households and those with poorly insulated homes?
Well, of course, we always keep these things under review, but I outlined the many steps that we are taking, and if necessary, we will look further at what we can do to help.
Lord Roberts of Llandudno.
My Lords, will the Minister agree that the foolhardy thing that is happening is that universal benefit has been, demolished, just at the time when the poorest people, the most vulnerable people, will be fighting to keep warm in this winter? Can the Minister tell me, will the Government not reverse that decision? And will they also give us something fresh that will help the most vulnerable from a very harsh winter indeed?
Well, I outlined earlier the support mechanisms that we already have in place: the warm home discount, the winter fuel payment, cold weather payments, and an additional £500 million household support fund being available to councils to help the most in need over the winter.
Baroness Jones of Moulscombe.
The Scottish Parliament, through the Green Party Minister Patrick Harvey, has decided has committed £1.8 billion to home energy efficiency measures. Now, given that this government wants to be world leading, and given that it's got a bit of a gap to fulfil, will it commit a proportionate amount, given that it's got 10 times more the number of homes in England, of £18 billion?
Well, I haven't had a chance to meet the Noble Lady's colleague yet, but I was supposed to meet him a couple of weeks ago, but the meeting was cancelled. I look forward to discussing these important matters with him. But as the Noble Lady will be aware, we are already spending considerable sums on home insulation and heating upgrade measures, something like £1.3 billion over the last year. Of course, I can't predict what might happen in the Chancellor's spending review, but we are already investing considerably in home insulation measures.
Kai of Clash.
My Lords, I wonder who it is that's responsible for this unprecedented rise in the price of wholesale gas.
The Noble Lord is tempting me here, but gas is traded in international markets, so the biggest factors influencing prices are global trends in supply and demand. Higher wholesale gas prices have been seen internationally since 2021.
Viscount Waverley.
My Lord, is there a correlation between consistency of supply from certain national gas producers to the state of some bilateral relations, EU generally, and indeed further afield, that might be inhibiting the continuity of supply? If so, are ambassadors exploring strategy options with this in mind, and would the Minister care to give us some specific examples?
Well, security of supply is, of course, absolutely vital, and the UK derives security of supply from its diversity of suppliers and by reducing reliance on any single source. So in addition to our considerable domestic production, we import gas from Norway, from Belgium, from the Netherlands, and from further afield via LNG terminals. And of course, through our ambassadors, we are in regular contact with our energy partners, including regular contact with Norway, the EU Commission and the International Energy Agency.
West of Spithead.
My Lords, for several years a number of us have been banging on about the looming national shortage of electricity, and my concerns were that our present nuclear power stations are going out of service in an increasing rate and that no nuclear sites are being built and planned. Yet they are absolutely crucial for provision of round-the-clock, weather-independent, low-carbon electricity. We've all seen, as we expected, that renewables alone don't cut the mustard when we really need it. Could I ask the Noble Lord the Minister, does he agree that there is urgency in completing Hinkley Point C and to get the final investment decision for Sizewell C? When will the decision to go ahead be made?
Yes, I actually do agree with the Noble Lord. It's been a mistake, and indeed it was a mistake for his party to announce a moratorium from 1997 on any new nuclear development, which then happened for 10 years. And we need to get on fast with building new nuclear capacity, and we are indeed doing just that. It will form a vital part of our base load electricity demand.